Welcome to the Peace Over Pain podcast with Dr. Kevin Reese, where we examine the body as a whole unit and move people from health burdens to health miracles. So get your questions ready, because the show starts now.
Welcome to the Peace Over Pain podcast. I'm your host, Joe LaChance, and I'm here with the author of Peace Over Pain, Dr. Kevin W. Reese. How are you today, Dr. Reese? Welcome.
Happy New Day. Hello. This coming Thursday, I'll be in Greenwich at Melly Mellow Cafe, or Creepery, it's called actually. And I'm going to have my own table. So anyone in the Fairfield area, come on in and we'll talk about your root causes. And then, of course, November 5th at the Bridge Healing Arts Center, I'll be there as well. So we're getting out there, Joe. Getting back out there. Pandemic is over.
Right. Well, that's the whole point, isn't it? Get out there, meet the people, press the flesh now that we can.
Yeah.
And so you're hitting both sides of the state. If anybody knows Connecticut, you're going to be in Farmington, which is kind of in the middle of the state, and then Greenwich, which is on the border of New York. So even some New York people, Rye, New York, White Plains, New York, you're only 10, 15 minutes away from Greenwich if you want to come down and see Dr. Reese. And they can find out info on that on your social media.
Yeah. Or just being a subscriber on the email.
Okay.
You know,
good.
I'm
So
always
they can
blasting
sign up
things
for
out.
your email list.
Yeah, we got 88 seats reserved so far for November 5th.
Very good.
So
and we are going to not live stream it, but there will be a special event for that, correct?
Yeah, it's going to be edited together, and we'll have a video file of the whole thing. Yeah.
Great. We'll share it obviously on the Facebook page, in Facebook group. So great. And that's very cool. So people in Connecticut, get out there. Look forward to see Dr. Reese live. All right. So before we get started, I did want to remind people that we will be taking questions at the end, near the end of the show, about the second half, and then we'll try and get to them today if we can. So before we get started, I wanted to read something that was very touching to me, that was in our Facebook group. And it's sort of a testimonial, I would have to say, but it comes from Lucy Dong, who is one of our 120 clients, correct? Touching to me,
Yeah.
say. Yeah. And so Lucy wrote, and this just came out of the blue, and she's on day 50. So she says, day 50, my sleep and digestion are so much better that I can eat a whole avocado with lunch. I can hardly believe it, but I did it for 4 days now. I can sleep a whole night most nights. During the toughest time, I used to sleep every other night. Dizziness, anxiety, moods, etc. are much better as well. I can see my posture changing, which is encouraging too. I still have things to heal overall. I'm happier and I have more energy to face life. Lastly, with my deepest gratitude to Dr. Kevin W. Reese, the Peace Over Pain Clinic, Amber Driver Williams, Rain Cross, Mark Pelter, and Joe LaChance for saving my life. I celebrate with all my improvements so far with you. High fives. And then she had a nice little gif of I think it's
when Lucy came to us, she was a hot mess.
I do remember that.
She couldn't even eat an avocado. Her body couldn't handle fat.
Right.
And heart palpitation, all this stuff. And so this program is very effective. She's not even halfway done.
No, I was going to mention that. Yeah. And I did an interview with, obviously in the beginning with her, and I could tell that she needed a lot of help. But in 50 days, from what she's saying, she's made a ton of progress. And she's well on her way there. from where she started. So I think that's great. I think it's great, and it's a great testimony to how the program actually works. We're not full of it here. So, all right. I think we have a very interesting topic today. The topic for today is TMI.
TMS.
TMS. I'm sorry. You know what? I
You're
had it.
thinking too much info.
Yeah, TMS. And so TMS is nicknamed the mind-body syndrome.
Yeah.
Correct? So, I mean, I've heard of the mind-body connection. What is TMS in comparison to that? How does that all tie in? What is the mind-body syndrome?
So TMS, which official name is tension myositis syndrome,
Okay.
is when you have past trauma and your brain, your mind, your onboard computer, as I call it, doesn't want to deal with it. So what it does is, as a survival mechanism, it transfers the pain to the muscles. And people end up with sore muscles, basically what they call fibromyalgia. And a lot of people, when they find out that they have TMS, it goes away because the mind just clicks. It's like a child finally understanding that the boogeyman's not in the closet. It's like, oh, okay, I could sleep now. And so this was discovered in modern times by Dr. John Sarno in New York City. And he's the one that made it famous. And he's got a bunch of books. And he had some high profile clients such as Howard Stern and Larry David. And it became known as TMS, the mind body syndrome. And here at the Peace Over Pain Clinic, we just call that mindfulness.
Right.
And it's the third macro method. And we, knock the TMS out of anyone. And so there's TMS groups all over Facebook, and you get people jumping in there and they're just like, I have neck pain. Could it be TMS? Or I have digestive issues. Could it be TMS? And these people are in pain and they're looking for their solution. And, doing mindfulness definitely can help them.
Right.
Inner child work. It's all inner child work, really. At the end of the day, that's what it is. It's fear. It's what it is. It's fear. But fear literally can cause you pain. Tension. That's the T. But there's a lot of people who are trying to address this and not understanding that their nutrition and their posture matters. And so we're right back to the Peace Over Pain book. We're right back to my whole message, which is all three matter.
Right.
And the more people dial in on one of the three, the more they're going to be disappointed. Because at some point, yeah, you might reverse something for a little bit, few months, few years even. Something else is going to creep in because this is a holistic thing. And so I think, Dr. John Sarno is a modern pioneer. He's not the only one. There's Dr. Joe Dispenza.
Mm-hmm.
There's Dr. Bruce Lipton. There's guys out there who they may not call it TMS, but they're basically saying the mind can create pain, can create dis-ease. And it can.
Right. And that's, yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at the beginning. This is not a new concept, but
No.
what I think is different about what Sarno talks about compared to, let's say, what Louise Hay's been talking about, the mind healing the body, right?
Yeah.
And how the mind can, for
She's another
years,
one. She's another one. Yeah.
70s. She was out in the 70s.
Yeah.
And then, you know, like you mentioned, Dispenza, Lipton,
Her book.
they all put their various different twists and methods on the mind
Yeah.
controlling the body, pretty
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
And then they show you both sides, how the mind can cause disease,
Yeah.
and how the mind can also heal disease.
Yeah.
And so, but I think Sarno's different is he zeroes in on the trauma part of it.
He gave it a name.
Right.
He
Right.
gave it a name, and that's the difference.
Right.
And because he gave it a name, people buy into the name.
Right. And
Just
yeah,
like a
another,
disease. He created a disease.
yeah, just like the medical monopoly does, right?
Absolutely. Fibromyalgia.
Right.
Big scary word, right?
Right.
Osteoporosis. These are big scary words. And so Dr. Sarno created a big scary word, tension myositis syndrome,
Right.
and said, you have this, no big deal. And
Right.
people healed.
And that was his method of healing?
Yeah,
Pretty
there
much?
were people that would come to a Dr. Sarno seminar, a 2-hour seminar, and they would leave healed.
No, okay, so here's the thing, and when you said it earlier, you said there's groups out there where people are flying in there going, I have digestive issues. Could it be TMS? I have migraines. Could it be TNS? I have this. I have that. Could it be TMS? Does it start to become almost like a catch-all where they may come there and think it's TMS, but it's not? It's something completely different. Like you say, it's a postural issue or it's a nutrition issue.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, it seems like you can almost blame anything on it if you've had some sort of trauma in your life. Now, if you've been lucky enough not to live a trauma-free life and all that, but a lot of people have trauma, so they can almost say, oh, this is why, you know, make a correlation to that, but it's not. It's not the whole reason you have pain.
Right. And here at the clinic, we can show people that because we run a discovery call. We do a test so we can see what your nutritional deficiencies are. And then we do a P-ray. We can see what your muscle dysfunction is.
Right.
And so it's obvious what your problem is. Now, if you had no nutritional deficiencies and your P-ray was perfect, then we can go, oh yeah, you got some TMS.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Okay. And then you would work on that, Mark, and whoever would work on the trauma part.
TMS typically also comes from the medical monopoly. People go, they have back pain, so they go get a scan, an MRI or what have you, right? They find out that their spine is degenerative.
Right.
All of our spines are degenerative past the age of 40. Let's get real here.
Right.
Okay. This is wear and tear. And they freak out. They freak out and they become scared and they create more pain.
More pain, right.
And this is what I call medical-based PTSD.
Yeah, because when you say a trauma, right, it doesn't necessarily mean, you know, some of the things that people would equate trauma with, like going to war, going to prison, getting robbed, having a sexual assault. It could be something as simple as the death of a loved one, or
a lot of times
a diagnosis.
Yeah, health anxiety. Anxiety is the biggest one. That's the biggest one, man.
Yeah, and I've experienced that myself, because like you say, once you find out from the medical monopoly that your back, or you have degeneration in your back, you start thinking of that all the time. Oh my God, my back's degenerate. I can't do this. I can't do that. And then what that does is creates the body to create more degeneration till you actually start showing the symptoms that you doctors said you said is gonna happen to you.
Yeah.
Right.
There's 3 situations that are arguably the worst loss of control for a human being.
Right.
The first one is Mother Nature. You got a hurricane coming, you got a tornado, like you're just a puny human, man. You're gonna,
Right.
The second one is running into a dangerous animal, such as a bear. You're not gonna outrun a bear. You're not gonna outclimb a bear. You're done. You're dead unless that bear decides, "Oh, I'm gonna walk the other way," or unless you got a big gun.
Right. Then you're not so scared. Right.
Even a handgun may not work on a bear unless you get a point blank shot in the brain.
Right.
You need a shotgun, a machine gun. Okay. Right. And then the third one, Joe, is going to be your body deteriorating fast. And you being like, oh, I'm losing control. Oh my gosh. You break your leg and now you're on crutches and you can't walk up the stairs, or you're having an asthma attack, or whatever it is. When your body malfunctions at a high level, there's a lot of fear.
Right.
There's a lot of fear. And so what I'm saying is, after the incident, this fear can stick around and your brain doesn't want to deal with it. Your mind doesn't want to deal with it. So it disperses it. And next thing you know, your legs are spasming. Your back is spasming. You got digestive issues. Irritable bowel syndrome arguably is all TMS.
Wow.
Right? Because irritable bowel syndrome is different than a Crohn's or a colitis. Right? Those are more inflammation based. IBS is irritable bowel syndrome, or some people may call it spastic colon.
Right.
Like you're so nervous that you get diarrhea or
all
you're
the time, or you're constipated.
Yeah. So, it comes down to tension.
Right.
Fear creates tension. And this is why we have to practice mindfulness. And this is why we teach it at the clinic. Lucy, who's on day 50 something now in the program, she's learning the mindfulness. She's learning how to let go.
Right. So the TMS is a diagnosis, pretty much, is not a treatment.
No, the treatment is inner child work, mindfulness, basically.
Right. Interesting how this guy can make a living just by diagnosing something and not coming up with the treatment for it.
He had some treatments. I mean, he had like these rules. I mean, he would literally, as the story goes, someone would come in to see him. He would explain to them that they have TMS. He'd walk them out the door and say, "Hey, look, you're not broken, man. You're all good." And they'd walk out and they'd be fine. They're cured.
Well, see, okay, fine. All right. So now let's you and I then, okay, you said it's a part of mindfulness. All right. So I've got to think, let's say, rather than overall mindfulness, let's say you're trying to specifically heal your body. Let's say in my case, okay, because I always felt like I was pretty spiritual, but I think I was a victim of that TMS right there. I really do. And so I went to specific methods for healing the body. Okay. In other words, it wasn't an overall mindfulness program. These were specific books, specific teachers, like Louise Hay was one, that were specifically designed for healing the body, mindfulness practices for healing the body specifically. Okay. So what would some of the mindfulness practices be if somebody, say, like, a cancer patient, they want to use mindfulness for specifically healing the cancer, right? And so are there specific methods to use for healing the body? Like, let's say affirmations. Let's start with that.
Yeah, sure. Affirmations can help.
So,
Because all we're doing, like I laid out in the book, is we're deprogramming the subconscious mind.
right,
The subconscious mind is nicknamed the inner child.
right,
You call it subconscious mind or inner child. It's up to the
right,
person. It's the same thing.
right,
It's like universe and God, same thing.
right.
So meditation,
Okay.
inner child work. Some people, it's too much for some people. We don't want to go back into the past and dig that deep sometimes. It's just a state of higher consciousness of letting go of everything.
Right, right.
Let go is a very hard practice. It is, in my experience, the hardest practice on earth. It makes training for the Olympics look like kindergarten.
Right.
You know,
Well, yeah, that's
it,
that's high level stuff, though.
because you're up against the programming of your mind. And, I've been at it for years, 10 years
Right,
now.
right, right.
And so I'm at an advanced level. But I know that when people first start out, it's tough. It's really
Well,
tough. But what Dr. Sarno did is he, you know, he created a trick.
yeah.
He
He
created,
did.
it's brilliant, really. It's brilliant because people, what it's like he said, it's like he created a device, like a spiritual guru would, like a master would create a device for a disciple, you know, to get them to overcome some sort of hurdle. That's what he did. It's brilliant.
Mm.
Actually, it is very brilliant. But I'm just here to say it's not the end all be all. That's all.
No, I agree with you.
But to your question about a mindfulness practice,
Yes.
yeah, it's everything that we teach here. It's meditation, it's let go, it's affirmations, it's
Like, okay, let's stop with affirmations, right?
yeah,
So there are a lot of affirmations out there. I have a wall full of them.
yeah.
Okay. Um,
I
but
am or I have, right?
so I am healed.
Yeah,
I'm very healthy. I am strong and healthy. Now, if you're trying to work on a specific body part, let's say, my stomach is functioning properly. All these things, and people, and I was thinking about this today during my static back. Um,
mm,
how does the subconscious get programmed? Because you're not born with these illnesses, you're not born with these syndromes.
no,
The subconscious gets programmed basically from the conscious mind and from the outer world, correct?
yeah, yeah,
And it does basically what the conscious mind and what the outer world uh, tells it through the conscious mind, pretty much,
yeah,
right? So, and so now the subconscious is different than the conscious, because the
yes.
conscious is more fluid. In other words, it can change its mind easier than the subconscious can change its mind, because the subconscious gets actually programmed, correct?
In Ho'oponopono, we call that the mother and the child.
Right. Okay. Right. And so this is why
So we
people,
use these analogies to help people understand them and help people be tender.
Right.
Because if you call it consciousness and subconsciousness, it sounds too scientific for some people. When it's the mother and the child, it's understandable and you can be tender with it. And so the mother is the conscious mind. That's the operator.
Right.
That's the part of you that's driving and says, okay, we got to stop at the stop sign. We got to take a left. Oh, we have the choices of these 3 foods. Well, I shouldn't have gluten because the Peace Over Pain Clinic and Dr. Reese, they don't eat gluten. So let's have this instead. That's the mother. The inner child, also known as the subconscious mind, is an innocent bystander. It's like having a 2-year-old child. The 2-year-old child isn't in charge of what they eat. The 2-year-old child isn't in charge of what they watch on TV. It's the parent that's in charge.
Right.
The child eats what the parent gives them, period. Now she might ask, oh, do you want peanut butter and jelly, or do you want pasta? What do you want?
And then the child gets so used to that, that it's think that's what's normal.
So what and so I'm sure we'll do a episode on Ho'oponopono at some point.
Right.
It's one of my favorite topics because it was a game changer for me.
Mm-hmm.
And the nutshell of it is you need to apologize to your inner child. And you need to thank your inner child.
Because there's a lot of work.
And your inner child is actually in charge of your body. Your subconscious mind is in charge of your body.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to get at.
So if you, let's say you had back pain, you can talk to your inner child, just like you would a 2-year-old. And apologize. Whatever I did to cause this pain, I'm sorry.
Right.
Please forgive me for my actions, whatever I've done. Thank you for regulating this body and rejuvenating it.
Right.
You know, I do it even when I'm not in any pain. You know,
No,
thank you so much for running this body. Please rejuvenate every cell in this body. I know you have the power to regenerate every cell. Please keep the circulation going. Please keep the blood flowing. Thank you for keeping the lymphatic system moving. Thank you for bowel movements. Thank you for urination movements. Thank you for allowing me to see the world. Thank you for allowing me to smell and hear. Thank you for allowing, testosterone. Thank you for keeping me healthy. Thank you so much for your operations. I appreciate you and I love you. That is the most important relationship in your life.
Your 2 minds. Yeah. Yeah.
And when you master this and you get into it, things start happening. The body starts to heal up. So to me, Ho'oponopono is the ultimate practice because you're taking everything and rolling it up into one little mobile ball that you can take with you. It's take it anywhere you go, right? You're at a hotel, you got your Ho'oponopono. You're at the supermarket, you got your Ho'oponopono,
Right.
And, it opens you up. And so that's prayer.
It's based on gratitude, pretty much.
Prayer is the ultimate, man. As long as you're not reading it. I mean, prayer is the ultimate.
Yeah, I talked to a shaman guy once, and he said, "Listen, when you're praying, you're not praying to God. You're praying to yourself, pretty much."
So I had Santos Bonacci on the podcast, on the Inner Peace with Dr. Reese podcast, and he broke down prayer as nicely as I've ever heard. And so I encourage anyone to go listen to that episode from a few months ago.
Mhm.
And he explained Ho'oponopono without saying Ho'oponopono. People explain Ho'oponopono all the time and don't
Right.
even know they're talking about Ho'oponopono.
Well, because it is I
It's
don't wanna say
universal.
it's universal. It's a universal tenet of spirituality and not. I don't want to use enlightenment.
But
Let's say evolving.
there's 3 ways to pray in Ho'oponopono. And so the one that you do the most is your inner child, which we just talked about. The second one is divinity. So you can go outward to divinity, to God.
Right.
You can do that, but you don't do it as much as you do your inner child, because at the end of the day, God is relying on you to take care of yourself.
Right.
The Father is out doing his thing. Let him chill.
Like, well, just remember, the Father also gives information to the child.
Yes.
The child is connected to the father as well as the mother, because parents. So sometimes the subconscious will send you messages from the father to your conscious mind.
Yeah.
And that's how the other side works. That's the receiving part.
In HPO, which is short for Ho'oponopono, we call that inspiration. Receiving divine inspiration, you know. And then the third way to pray is actually to a person.
Right.
So if I want you to be well, then I would just bring up a mental picture of Joe LaChance, and I would do my Ho'oponopono.
I'll do something.
I do a lot of people. I do a lot of people.
Excellent. Now I use that in my
That's
practice.
why people cry around me. That's a secret that I don't tell anyone.
I use that in my practice as well. I wouldn't say it is the basis of my practice, but it is a part of it. And I do believe that it works wonders. I've used it in some it made me feel pretty good a few times. But it was a constant repetition of it because I really wanted to, but I agree. Ho'oponopono is a good method. Again, we talked about other ones, but they're all coming down to the same thing. It's gratitude, it's forgiveness, all the basics that you hear, since
love,
love, gratitude,
love, yeah.
Right, forgiveness,
real love,
and right, exactly,
not primal bonding,
and taking responsibility for what you've done.
Taking responsibility for what you've done. When I hear an ambulance go by, I take responsibility.
Because you consider yourself part of the whole. Right. And that's a whole nother thing to get into. But, I think right now we're talking about the subconscious and the conscious, and even, let's say the mother, the son, the child, and the father, how they work together, and how it's like, a flow, because and that's how your body gets programmed. It's not just, and that's how you can be guided through life. And not the trick, but the main thing is, once you realize that you have been, let's say, speaking to your inner child, giving him bad information, being a bad parent, then you have to figure out how to be a good parent and help that child grow up correctly and work, do what it's meant to do. Like, you know what I'm trying to say? It's hard to put it that way, but you know what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
It's the reprogramming part.
Mm-hmm.
That's the hardest part.
Very hard.
It's easy to program it. It's very hard to reprogram it.
In our 120 program, there's a recording that I made that we want clients to listen to as they're going to bed. And there's affirmations and such and stuff to reprogram their mind.
Right. And then I know you did a meditation too for the body, thanking every part of your body.
Mm-hmm.
People can find that too, I'm sure, on YouTube. But yeah, so there, and that's it. And you know, the child is just like a child. It needs constant repetition,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it also will fight back sometimes.
Mm.
So when the conscious mind tries to give it new programming, like somebody who's trying to get off gluten, right? Well, the conscious mind can have figured out the logic of it all. Yes, I need to get off gluten. This is why I need to. But so what's stopping you? Well, it's the subconscious that's stopping you because you've been giving it gluten for so long. And it's like a child, like, mommy, no, I want my candy. You know what I mean? And so you have, and so I like that concept of treating it like a child and like, you know, no, you know, we have to take care of our body, you know, however you know, you want to talk to your inner child. Um, but I think that, you know, it's important for people to realize how it all works. And, you know, like you said with TMS, that's just one small, tiny thing.
Yeah.
Because, and I'll tell you right now, no matter how much your subconscious controls your body, like you say, you cannot affirm, I have I have my full nutrition. I have my 90 essential nutrients. You can't do that. You cannot bring that from an affirmation, and it can't be.
My spine is straight.
My spine is straight.
Right. The arches in my feet are perfect. You can't do it.
It can't do that. It's so it's limited because that's the difference. That's why there's the 3 methods. There's other damage that you've done that isn't mental.
Yeah.
It's physical damage.
We have to put in the work, and then the divine will reward us.
Then right, it'll come about. First of all, if you're not doing any exercises to straighten out your spine, you know, then maybe you can say my spine is straight, and your subconscious will keep it that way.
Yeah.
But you have to get there first.
Mm-hmm. I got questions that have come in. So
all right, let me get to that part. I was just looking at the clock. This was a good conversation. I'll stop now. We gotta wait.
Have you read Peace Over Pain yet? This short but powerful book reveals how to eliminate chronic pain and or illness faster than any other known therapeutic approach. Download the Peace Over Pain book for only $4.95 and gain instant access to the ebook version, audiobook version, and a video training with Dr. Reese. Go to peaceoverpain.com and start reading or listening right now. This is the information you've been praying for.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, and I just want to remind people they can find the Peace Over Pain book on Amazon or at peaceoverpain.com, as well as in the Peace Over Pain Clinic Facebook group, which it is free. So check that out. Make sure you read the book. It's not a long book. It's got a ton of great information on it, and it can help get you started on your path. Okay, Kevin, do you want to go first with your questions?
Yeah, I got a message from Jan. She, in a comment, she says, my liver is healthy and well. Wait a minute. Why is my skin and eyes yellow? Let me stop there. She's talking about something like jaundice.
Jaundice, yeah.
Yeah. I was born with jaundice.
Oh, wow. I had it too.
It's soft tissue deficiency, you know. Soft tissue. You know, once the nutrients get topped off, then everything will be fine. You know, get that gallbladder working correctly.
So it's basically she's deficient in some nutrients. Okay.
Yeah. And she also asks, affirmations can be hard when reality is biting your arse. How can you overcome these stark realities?
So I know what she's saying. Yeah.
Yeah. So you just got to get ready to die. That's why. That's how. See, this is why I can't coach people. This is why I need Tamra and Amber to be coaches. Because everyone that comes to me, I'm just gonna be like, "Are you ready to die? Let's go."
Right.
I mean, that's really all
And
it
all you're
is.
trying to say is, are you fearless?
Yeah, you gotta.
The ultimate fear is death. So
Yes.
if you've overcome the fear of death, I don't want to say you are fearless, but you have a fearless mentality.
Yeah. Yeah. Once you become fearless,
Right.
even when you're in terrible pain, you're already 50% good. You're good.
Right.
You're good. You're passing the test. Now, the thing with people is they want to go to the doctor. They want to go to their primary care physician or whatever, the hospital.
Mhm.
And they end up right back at square one, which is follow the protocol, do the program, do the 120 program, take your nutrients, do your postural. It's going to come back to the same thing every time.
Right.
So going to the medical monopoly just creates more fear, more TMS.
True,
And
because they'll always find something wrong with you.
yeah, they'll always
They need
find
more
something wrong.
customers.
Yeah. And like I said earlier, when your body is spasming out and it's not doing what it's supposed to, this is when we get fearful. This is when we get the health anxiety. And you got to overcome that.
Yeah.
And you can overcome it by facing your death.
Right.
One of the most interesting people in the world to me is Curtis Jackson, also known as 50 Cent.
Okay.
I've had the opportunity to talk to him numerous times back in my old career. He's fearless. He was shot 9 times and left for dead in front of his grandmother's house. He's fearless.
Right.
That's why he's so confrontational. Even to this day, he's confrontational because he's willing to go further than you.
Right.
Because he's fearless.
That's a major key, to be fearless. It's once you have that, you can almost achieve anything.
Yeah. Because you're ready to go at any time.
Right.
You know? And it doesn't mean that you
Act recklessly.
Yeah, it doesn't mean you act recklessly. You still do your protocol. You still do what you got to do to get better. You still do what you got to do to overcome whatever it is in front of you. But from a mental level, you're just not scared.
Right.
You know?
You're willing to take reasonable risks.
Yeah.
You're willing to go after what you want because what have you got to lose? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What have you got to lose? Because the only thing you really have is this life. And when you're not afraid to lose this life, then what have you got to lose? Right. So
Right.
it makes you more willing to go do and try new things. And,
Yeah. Yeah,
just,
absolutely.
that's high level though. First thing you got to get people,
This is why I love approaching beautiful women too. Because, there's always a chance of being rejected.
Right.
And I love rejection.
You do, huh?
So it's a win-win for me either way, no matter how you look at it.
Right. All right.
Anyway.
Any more questions or do you?
No, I just got a good morning from Tamra. Hello, Tamra. And Corey. Hello, Corey.
Okay. Well, I'll get to what I got.
Okay.
Okay. This one is from Patty on Facebook. If I don't like my doctor, will I ever find my healing?
No, you're not going to find your healing even with a doctor you like. A medical monopoly doctor, anyway.
Right.
They don't have anything to offer you unless you absolutely need insulin or you absolutely need painkillers They got nothing.
Right. Right. They
So you're
don't
not going to
have
find healing.
healing.
They're not healers.
They're not healers. They don't cure anything. They're treaters.
They're treaters.
That's all they are.
They're
Is
trick or
treaters.
treaters.
They're treaters, and they treat you with tricks. That's what they do. The tricks you get come from big pharma. So yeah, I think people need to realize that. And you don't have to like your doctor. You should, because they don't have your healing. You won't find your healing at any doctor. If you're looking for treatment, then go ahead. Like you said, you break your wrist, you want something diagnosed, you go to your doctor. You have an infection. Other than that, you don't need to go to your doctor. And even you, right, Kevin, you visit a medical monopoly doctor every now and then, right?
Yeah, I'm spying though. But
Right.
yeah, I had a yearly physical 2 months ago or something like that. They said I was as healthy as a 43-year-old can be, and see you next year.
Right.
And I know that's not true because I am my own doctor and I know what's wrong with me. And it just confirmed that they don't know.
Right. Right. Exactly. Okay. This is from Brandon on IG. You say all oils are unhealthy, but olive oils and coconut oils have low omega-6 and high omega-3.
Mm-hmm.
So how is that unhealthy? And I think you
Okay.
need to make a little differentiation here.
So yeah, he's talking about the balance. When the balance is off of omegas, it creates inflammation.
Right.
So that is true for some oils. But the reason oils are on the poor four list, and we tell everyone to get off oils, is not because of that.
Right. I was going
It's
to say that.
because of oxidation.
Right.
All oils are exposed to the air for long periods of time and then thrown in a bottle. And that creates free radicals in your body.
Right.
And that is a root cause of disease. So by getting people off these poor four foods, we're taking away one of the root causes immediately.
Right. And I think that's the differentiation that needs to be made. It's not that oil that comes from a coconut or oil that comes from an olive is unhealthy in its natural form.
Mm-hmm.
However, what you buy at the store and the way you use it is unhealthy because they're like, besides just being exposed to oxygen, it's exposed to temperature change, which also creates oxidation. And then it's also when you cook with oil, there's a reason fried foods are on that list. When you cook with oil and heat it up and expose it to the air at the same time, then you got real oxidation going there. Like
now you created carcinogens too.
Yeah, major oxidation going on and major carcinogens. So it's not the oil itself.
Eating
It's
fried food, even just a handful of French fries is like smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day.
Mm-hmm. Right. So I think people need to understand it's like it's a pretty deep thing. It's all the ways you use oil.
Yeah.
It's not the oil itself being unhealthy. All right. Holly on IG. Even organic wheat is no good.
Yeah. Yeah. The food stuff is always going to come up. Yeah. All wheat, barley, rye, and oats. We're talking gluten here. It doesn't matter if it's organic or not. It does not matter. It's off. It's on the poor four list. It should not be eaten by a human. Oats technically is gluten free, but the body just has trouble breaking it down. So that's why that's on our list as well. But yeah, no organic wheat.
Yeah, it's not about and it's just that the wheat and the where they even organic soil is not, it's different than what wheat used to be. And I got to say, I think people say, well, we've been eating wheat as humans for years, right? You didn't eat. Okay, they did. They used wheat to make what? Pita bread,
Yeah.
a few things. Okay, bread, not a million things. Like if you look at ingredients, especially in fake foods, there is wheat in almost everything or some form of wheat. So, and the wheat they're using is genetically modified, factory farmed. A lot of it is extracted from wheat. It's not even whole grain wheat. It's just not healthy anymore, no matter how you use it. And I just think our bodies, in the amounts that has been given over the years as a culture, we have become wheat intolerant, even though the symptoms may not show up like a celiac. And that's why our bodies have started to reject it, and it causes inflammation. It causes nutrients not to be absorbed because it's right in there. Glue 10,
Mm.
glue 10.
Mm.
And like you say, it's not only in wheat, and it's in other things. People, would you think soy sauce has gluten, right? But it does. So you're even getting it when you put it on your Chinese food.
I was at the grocery store yesterday and I was looking for turkey burgers because for those that don't know, a turkey burger is about half the calories of a regular burger.
Right.
And so if you want to lean out, you go turkey burgers. If you want to gain weight, then you do. From a nutrition side, I'd rather have beef.
Right.
But if you're watching your calories, then you go turkey burger. Anyway, I'm looking at the turkey burgers and I see Wahlburgers, Mark Wahlberg's family.
Mm-hmm.
And I go, let me look at the ingredients because these people are sneaky. Not them in general, but just food companies and
Sneaky, yeah.
sneaky. I look at the ingredients. Sure as the grass is green, man. There's wheat in there.
Right. Why?
They must make it kind of like a meatball, where they mix wheat in with the beef.
Like old school turkey bird, right? Like you used to buy. Yeah. Would you get? Yeah, I got you.
And so you gotta look at the ingredients. The food corps slip wheat in. They slip
Everything.
They're always slipping things in. So you got to really look.
And that's what I'm trying to say. There's just so much of it in all the foods. It's just created a food intolerance for people now. That's not even, you can't even see it with your eyes. Okay. John on Facebook. Oh, here we go. I heard you say that people shouldn't go to their doctors. Isn't that irresponsible?
Well, I'm a controversial guy, No, I don't think it's irresponsible. I promote the emergency room and the urgent care. Absolutely. That we have the best in the world here in America. I salute all the doctors and nurses in the emergency room, in the urgent care clinics. Right. But when it comes to your primary care physician or the specialist that the primary care physician facilitates to, it's all hogwash. There's nothing there for you. There's no healing there for you. You're not going to get better. They're just there to facilitate drugs and send you to specialists who are trying to put their children through college. There's nothing there for you. And so, no, I would flip that around and say they're irresponsible because they don't know how to reverse illness. Right. They're just a pain management system. Right. And that's how they milk the insurance companies. And that's how they've become a $1.6 trillion industry that has no competition.
Right. And I think that's a good point that you make. You don't say don't go to doctors. What you're more saying is don't go to doctors for healing. Don't go to doctors for treatment. If you got a broken leg, that's fine. They can fix that. That's trauma.
Cancel your physician.
Yeah. But
you want to you want to cancel your ex favorite celebrities? Cancel your physician too.
Right. And I think the more information that comes out, especially with this latest, the thing we went through for 2 years, and people are starting to lose faith in not only the medical profession, but lose faith in big pharma, and the only way they get people to do what they want them to do is through fear. Right. And this goes back to being fearless,
Yep.
Are you afraid of monkeypox? Are you going to go get a monkeypox or, no, but yet there will be people. I mean, interesting enough, I had a friend, I don't know. My mind was blown. He calls me last night and he goes, well, I just got my second monkeypox booster and I got a flu shot last week. And I said, and how many of that other vaccine do you have? He goes, oh, 4. He said, I took 4 and I got one coming up in a few months. And my mind was like, oh my God. Do you realize the amount of chemicals and the amount of garbage you just put in your body? And all because you were afraid. All because you were afraid. And I tried to tell him, but and I didn't even realize it till I heard this out of his mouth. He's so far into the medical monopoly programming, and he's so far into the mainstream programming that I couldn't even say anything to him because I knew it would cause a huge argument.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think people realize that what you're doing to your body when you do that kind of stuff. It's just insane. And it's all based on fear. Because like you said with last week with the virus, if you're healthy and if you're taking care, you have your 90, you're taking care of your body, you're eating the right foods, you are much less likely to get any of those things because your body will fight it off naturally. So is it irresponsible to say don't go to your doctor? No. But I would add don't go to your doctor for treatment or a cure because you're not going to get it there. If you need antibiotics, you need something like that, that's fine. Use them as a little like a consultant.
You don't even need your primary care physician for antibiotics. You can go to urgent care.
Right. Exactly. I haven't had a primary care doctor in years, Kevin. Years. I just use urgent care centers and things like exactly what you said. So, all right, we're getting about towards the end of the show. Do you have any final words?
No, not really. I'll be around Connecticut if anyone's here. And
what are the dates? November 5th. And what's
November
the other date?
5th at the Bridge Healing Arts Center in Farmington.
Right.
And next Thursday, whatever that date is, I think it's the 20th, I'll be at Melly Mellow Creepery and on Greenwich Avenue in Greenwich, Connecticut.
And that's going to be a monthly thing, correct?
Yeah, as of now, it's a monthly thing. I'll be there every month, which is I'm looking forward to it.
Very cool. And
I got to ask you a question, even though you're not in Connecticut anymore.
Yeah.
Why do they call it Greenwich? It's spelled Greenwich.
It's because that's a good question, but even the English pronounce it Greenwich. So all these names come from England, you know that.
Yeah, Manchester.
All of them.
Glastonbury.
So, because of course, that's where we started. So yeah, it's interesting, but it's like, why do they pronounce Worcester when it's spelled Worcester? I have no clue.
Well, it's just funny because when I mention it to someone not from here, they always call it Greenwich. So you're going to be at Greenwich, right? And I'm like, Greenwich? What's that?
Remember, it's New England. They do distort pronunciations depending on what state you're in. So
Yeah.
I'm sure the original pronunciation was Greenwich. But
Oh, Thursday
right.
I was on TV again.
Oh, you were?
Yeah, a local station here in Hartford. It was quite controversial, of course.
Oh, why did you get pushback from the host?
I didn't get pushback at all, but the they almost ran long because the people in the the remote room running the show were so interested in the stuff I was saying that they lost track of time. So we almost ran over because the stuff that I say is controversial. I'm telling you to cancel your physician, and that smacks people in the face.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. But hey, sometimes you got to smack them in the face, right?
Hey, I was shot 9 times in front of my grandmother's house, so it doesn't matter.
All right, Kevin. So yeah, like, share, subscribe to all of our social media, to all of the different platforms. Follow Dr. Reese on Instagram and the Peace Over Pain Clinic on Instagram. And hopefully you will show that. Will you be showing that appearance?
Yeah, at some point, yeah.
Okay, very cool. We'll see you all next week.
Saturday.
Thanks for watching the Peace Over Pain podcast live inside our clinic's Facebook group. Be sure to submit a question or comment for next week's show at peaceoverpain.com. Also, perform some goodwill and tell a friend in pain that you found their solution. Refer them to the Peace Over Pain podcast and the Peace Over Pain book and help them move closer to their miracle.